All right, welcome back to the Scare Value Podcast. Pete, how is 1986 treating you this April afternoon?
I have exciting news, Brian.
Uh-oh.
I have so much exciting news. I can't believe that I am here to be at the birth at this very moment. Cool Ranch Doritos came out.
What?
Yes, I'm so very, very excited. I didn't realize that I didn't have Cool Ranch as an option until all of a sudden it was there. And it was a great big display. And I'm like, Cool Ranch, you say? I remember you. And it was so good.
Wow, I don't even like Cool Ranch Doritos, but I'm pretty excited.
You should, as well you should be. It's even more exciting than malls.
Nothing's more exciting than mall.
Cool Ranch Doritos, bro.
You can probably buy those Doritos inside of a mall.
All right, I'm going to the mall.
See you.
Bye.
We'll come back next week.
I might do that.
It's only been 2 weeks since we last recorded. It's only been a week since somebody allegedly heard this. I'm assuming they're putting them out. I don't know. Anybody needs a recap. We're stuck in 1986.
I wouldn't call it stuck, buddy.
You say that every week, and yet here we are stuck in 1986.
It's a glass half full, half empty kind of thing, because right now, we are not stuck. We are living the life.
We are thriving.
Yes, thriving, a word I never thought would be associated with myself.
Well, you know, it didn't exist until just now. They came out with Cool Ranch Doritos.
I know.
There was no thriving in the dictionary until April of 1986.
You look it up, and there's a picture. There's a, what is it? A picture of Doritos. That's what there is. Cool Ranch style. Are there? There's really not that many other flavors. We just had nacho here. That's usually just what I eat. So
There was those seasonal ones you see sometimes. Not, you know.
I haven't been here, I guess, paying enough attention to chips. They didn't have the display big enough for me to notice.
There was like a more traditional taco flavored one that were like the cheaper kind you would find knockoff brands, and they decided to make their own kind of taste like a knockoff brand.
You know what? I'm not a generic person. I like to pay that extra money just so I can have that sweet label,
Well,
the
you can
food label that I throw away.
You can afford to now because we made all that Piggies Who Got Married money.
I know. And I like to flaunt it.
Have you checked in on production of that at all? I haven't. I assume it's just going exactly as it did the first time we saw Piggies Who Got Married.
Not worried about it.
Not worried.
Nope.
Nicolas Cage is in it.
Yep. And I got paid.
I got paid too.
So
we
that's-
got paid a lot.
So that's all we need to know. What did we watch this week, Brian?
We watched a little movie called Critters.
I had so much fun watching it in the theater.
Did you?
I did.
It's the second best little monster movie of the 80s, is my little creature movie of the 80s.
Because this one's coming off of Gremlins.
Yes.
And then,
Everyone knows that. Gremlins came out first, and then...
you know what? Sometimes it's hard to remember how things work. In time, with us time travelers, it's tough to keep things. I don't know how Doctor Who does it. I'm more like Doctor What?
He don't know. He turned to me in the theaters, and he's like, I think Gremlins ripped some of this off. And I was like, I don't think you understand anything about what came out in what order.
I was very confused. Sometimes when we get tired, we forget chronology.
Yeah. Gremlins came out in 84, and it led to a lot of knockoffs.
I was trying to think of them. We've got Ghoulies.
You got your Ghoulies. You got your Troll.
You think Troll's a knockoff?
Yes.
Okay.
You got your, what's this one called? Critters.
There was another one too.
Spookies. You
What?
got your
Shit, I'm missing a.
Munchies.
You had the Puppet Master with those little dolls, or was it Doll Master? I don't remember.
Well, there was Doll Man and Puppet Master.
Puppet Master is the one I'm thinking of. I believe there was a cowboy.
There were little creatures everywhere, and all of them were bad, except for, in my opinion, except for Gremlins, which is a masterpiece. I think Critters 2, the main course, is excellent. And I think Critters is pretty good.
Critters was pretty solid. I remember only wanting to watch Critters 2 all the time.
It's markedly better.
Okay.
But
well, like
I don't have access to Critters 2, so this is where I get my Critters fix.
I had fun with Critters. Yeah. It made me really, really, really angry that my time machine moves us forward so slowly.
Yeah, you have to wait 2 years to see Critters 2, the main course.
I knew it was a long time, but 2 years, it's going to be a rough 2 years.
And unfortunately, we're not getting any faster getting out of here because we did finally attempt something to get home. I tracked down a DeLorean.
Yeah. Boy.
I mean, you already know because you were there, but I'll relay the story to everyone else. I got in the DeLorean, this weird ass car doors. I had to wait 3 hours for somebody to move their car on one side of the car so I could open the door.
I waited outside.
Yeah. So you were at the mall. I was in the mall parking lot stuck.
We were recreating every moment
Yes.
of Back to
Where
the
else
Future.
were we going to do it
Yes.
but a mall? I got a dog and I threw him in there.
And that's where I am most of the time.
So we got in the car, drove at 88 miles an hour, got a speeding ticket. Car died. Did not work.
You got a ticket in the mall parking lot. It was great. It was a mall cop, and then they had to call a real cop.
No, it's a good thing it was a mall cop because I don't have identification because I'm 7 years old right now.
Well, you act like it, sir. Sometimes I believe you do, wanting to go back to the future.
Thank God the real cop showed up and just took his bribe. And I just went about my merry way.
That mall cop was surprisingly dedicated to his craft.
He was. He really was. I respected him.
I did too, and I'm glad he got yelled at, though, by the real cop.
But now we can never go back.
No, well, not to that mall. Luckily, there's like another one around the corner.
Well, we didn't do it here. We went right to the mall where they shot Back to the Future and tried it because where else were you going to try it?
That wasn't the same mall that we were at?
No, we were in California.
Man, malls are really similar.
They are. I do want to go see that. I want to go see the Dawn of the Dead Mall, and it's in Pennsylvania, but I could have done that at any point of my life, and I never did. So I guess I don't really want to see it that bad.
Back uptime, I was like a block away from it. I was like, another day.
Yes.
Perhaps that day is now.
Maybe. I got
What?
nothing else really to do.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of work, though.
I've been looking at the upcoming attractions, and I don't see any movies for a while. I think that the next thing we're going to do is head to the drive-in and test our equipment on the road.
Ooh, I like the drive-in.
We're going to go to the Grandview, which is where I saw Jurassic Park and Speed and Ghostbusters.
That's a pretty solid lineup of things at the drive-in.
And now, even though it's been torn down 20 years ago, our time, I'm going to be able to go see Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's the one we're doing?
Listen, I know it's not a horror movie, but I've thought this through. I want to see it. That's as far as I thought it through.
Works for me.
And again, I don't see anything else in April or May or early June to even cover on this podcast, and we got to cover something.
And I think we should put, what's his face? Jeffrey Jones, the pedophile, on blast.
Yes, from Buffalo, New York.
From Buffalo's own. We got to root him out.
Yeah, I think people might be aware of his exploits by now if they listen to this podcast.
I mean, now, right here. Let's get him early.
Yeah, he hasn't done it yet.
Well, he might have. I don't know. I haven't been
That's
paying
true.
attention.
He also said we're not allowed to interfere with anything.
Well, I feel like this is for the greater good.
I've discussed 9/11. I've discussed the Challenger explosion. I've discussed deaths, and you're like, can't mess with it. But this, I think having pictures on his computer is the thing you want to stop.
Well, yeah. Wait. He probably doesn't have them on this computer that he has yet.
I don't think he has a computer.
I bet you he's got pictures or something gross. So
Remember when the guy from The Who had all that on his computer and he said it was for research and he got away with it?
remember when Jimmy Plant kidnapped a 14-year-old girl?
No. When did that happen? Can we stop that?
No, that was in the 70s.
No, I can't stop that.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of those rock stars could have been stopped, but Jeffrey Jones is going down.
Yeah, I should have known that DeLorean wasn't going to work, and I shouldn't have spent all that money on the plutonium.
Yeah. How much did you actually spend? Not that I care. We do have lots.
I spent like a third of our Piggies Who Got Married money.
I don't know why I asked. I don't know what that means.
It's like $10 million.
All right. Seems like a fair price.
They paid us a lot. Yeah.
It was a good price for plutonium? Is that the going rate?
It's the rate I got it for. It's the rate that it got to go in my car.
Well, for a minute.
That might actually be why the car died. I wasn't fueling it with the proper things, I guess.
I thought it was supposed to glow like that on the back part.
We needed, you know what we needed? We needed the one from the sequel where he's just throwing banana peels and garbage into a...
I don't remember
That's
that.
not even from the sequel. I think that's from the end of the first movie.
The only banana I remember is in the tailpipe.
There was banana in the tailpipe in Type 2. I think that's why it didn't work.
Yeah, you don't want to fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
I'm not paying to fix that car, though, so...
All right, well, we tried.
Yeah. But instead, we went and saw Critters
Which
in the very uncomfortable movie theater that we go see movies.
you got to get used to it.
You don't get used to it, though.
But you do. And I got it. I'm sorry. I was so excited to see the Critters. I forgot how they're such a good design. As a monster, they're fun. They have personality. I like it that they are aliens and they're criminal aliens
Yes.
who can operate technology and they can talk and they're fleeing. They're not just weird little animal things. They've got, they're just a little alien race.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore tacked onto a movie where not a lot happens. It's an interesting setup.
Yeah, right.
The actual plot of the movie is very slight, but there's bounty hunters that can change their appearance. There's a whole race of criminal critters that have escaped containment in space.
There's a penal asteroid in space that they escaped from, which had bosses and a structure to it.
There's a whole world out there, and we're just seeing them infest a barn.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
This movie is exactly like Leprechaun.
How so?
Number one, we're just in a remote farmhouse. Number two, way too many people live.
that was one of the things I noticed. Were there two people who died in this movie?
Yes,
There
Billy
was-
Zane and a cop.
Poor Billy Zane.
I know.
Billy Zane played the boyfriend of the... who's the protagonist? I guess the kid, right?
I don't remember his name. It's Scott Grimes.
Why does that...
Brad. Is his name Brad in the movie?
Yeah. Why did he look so familiar to me?
Because he's in a lot of things to this day.
Okay.
Well, to our day.
Grimesy. Good old Grimesy. So I guess it's his sister, because he's kind of our protagonist.
And that little man loves fireworks.
He sure does.
Every scene is, I got to blow up some fireworks.
I remember this movie as a kid, and I thought he was the coolest. Because of course,
Sneaking out of the house. He's blowing off fireworks. He wants to watch his sister fuck. It's all the cool things that cool kids do.
I don't remember that part.
Well, he wants to go see what's going on in the barn.
Well, he's hearing weird noises.
Yeah.
That's the good instincts.
Number
Turns out
3. This movie has its own Ozzy.
it's Ozzy. Yep, that is the... What are they called? They are the slow...
Well, this one was just a
Slow
drunk.
brains. Yeah, I know, but he seemed to, even with the drunkenness.
He did, but like Ozzy, it defies any explanation in the movie as to what's actually wrong with it.
No, of course not. And it's not asked. You just know he's got that slow brain.
Yes,
and he's
Charlie.
The slow brain that makes you hang out with children for some reason.
Yes. It has kid from Poltergeist is in it. Yes.
But my point about Billy Zane, he was the sister's boyfriend. He was afraid of the parents, and he seemed like for the rat-taily, douchey kind of guy that he was, he was like, no, I don't want to fool around. This is your parents' house. Your parents have said, no, I don't want to go to the barn. This is a bad idea.
She's the aggressor. But it's interesting they didn't do what all these movies do, especially in this time period. Wouldn't you expect Billy Zane's character to be, for no reason in particular, a 50s greaser? That's every movie we see.
The 50s greaser thing, that was going all the way up into the 90s. There was like heavy nostalgia for the 50s for some reason.
Yes.
I don't get
I
it.
expected, when he pops on screen, I expect him to be like over Italian accented 50s greaser style.
Hey.
Exactly. I expect him to be the Fonz, who's Jewish and not Italian. But people bought it.
I don't know what you're talking about. He was clearly, hey, I'm the Fonz. Every time you jump a shark, you know something's about to get good.
Somebody literally jumped a shark, and it was the best one.
Right? That's how it got the name. Jumping the Shark is from that episode of Happy Days.
That's right.
And that means you're about to get crazy.
This movie has slightly more comedy than Leprechaun manages to get to work. But it has the same feel to it.
I can see what you're right.
I said back when we watched Leprechaun that it feels like the script is from the 80s. No, it feels like the script was just the one underneath Critters.
You're right. I don't know if you're right about that you said that, but this Leprechaun was very much in this style. And it did come out in the 90s, not the 80s.
That's right, 94.
Like I keep thinking that it did. Wow, that was
93,
mid-90s.
94, I think.
Yeah, it was still almost mid-90s. You're right in the heart of it there.
I told you that script sat around. Another thing it has in common with Leprechaun, Pete, and with the last two movies we watched.
No.
You want to give us a Minority Report?
I do. I was paying attention.
Yeah.
What was your count?
I counted 0.
Really,
I
Brian?
counted 0. Are the Critters counting? Are you counting the
Well,
Critters?
obviously the Critters were jet black.
Yeah.
So there, and then maybe you weren't paying attention at the bowling alley, but there were two people of color hanging out at that bowling alley.
No, we said that they have to have, I'm sure these characters don't have names. They have to have lines integral to the plot.
I think them going, oh no, there's bounty hunters here at the bowling alley shooting things.
Did they say that?
They might have.
They might have.
I was paying so much attention, I kind of didn't listen to what was happening. I was like just paying so much attention to the back, squinting my eyes, staring so hard. I know they were talking and stuff was happening, but I was just looking to make sure that other than the Critters, there were people of color.
It did better than the last two movies, but still gets an F.
An F? That's pretty harsh. I'd give it an F minus.
Yeah. It's
Because you
something.
know what? While funny, the critters were portrayed as the aggressors and the bad guys and the criminals, which is just reinforcing negative stereotypes.
It's true. They kill a cop, which
They
means,
did.
like the Gremlins, I think they're trying to free people from power and establishment. But Billy Zane didn't ask for this.
Billy Zane really did. He
Yeah.
at no point he did nothing wrong. Shockingly, for an '80s movie where
know.
rape culture seems to be the way to go.
It is surprising, right, that he's not, first of all, getting off of his motorcycle, slicking back his greased up hair, talking to people like he's the Fonz, and then trying to rape the daughter. That's what would usually happen in these movies.
Farmer's daughter in the barn, no less.
Yes.
There are stories and jokes based on this very premise.
Tell one of them, please.
Okay, I don't remember. I think there was like a machine. No, there was a farmer, and he said there was a guy walking down the street, and it was getting dark, and he didn't know where to go, and he was like, "Oh, I need to sleep somewhere," and he saw a farm. He said, "Hey," he walked up to the door and said, "Can I sleep here?" And the farmer said, "All right, you can sleep in my barn, but there are 3 holes."
Okay, you're not
here."
going to tell the whole story. It's going to take 20 minutes.
You asked, man.
He's fucking the milk machine.
Yeah, I think that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how he got there, but it was quite funny.
No, the DeLorean didn't work.
No.
But the director of this movie will soon go on to direct a little movie called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Hey, that's a good one.
Do you think a phone booth can get us home? And where will I find a phone booth?
See, this is the first one I think I might really be worried about.
Oh, what, working?
Yes. I don't want you to
I don't
try.
want your life.
I don't want your solution.
I don't want your solution.
I don't think this is a problem we need to be fixing. Everything is fine here. I'm genuinely enjoying watching Critters.
I understand, but you can watch Critters in 2024.
Not at the theater, motherfucker.
That's true, but is that worth missing your family?
No, this is my vacation. I was told
It's
that it was
been-
my vacation.
3.5 months.
Doesn't feel like it.
Well, it's true. Time moves very interestingly here because there's no news to fill your time.
Unless you read a newspaper.
Who would do that?
I don't know.
But Pete, let me ask you a question. What's Nick Cage up to?
Brian, what? Nick Cage, he's always up to something.
But you don't know what it is. Isn't that
No, I
reason
don't.
enough to want to go home?
No, I do know. There was just a thing that came out. Do you remember when Reagan got shot?
Yeah.
It was way worse than people they let on, and they had to have a body double be Reagan for a few months. And do you know who the body double was?
What?
It was Nick Cage.
Was it Nick Cage?
He can't say it though because, it's top secret, hush hush. But Nicolas Cage was Ronald Reagan for a few months.
And how do you both know this and have discovered it in the year 1986?
Oh, I have my information here in 1986. My facts are my facts. You don't need to be asking questions. I'm the Nick Cage expert. You are not. You didn't even know who he was until I introduced you to him.
I'm extremely worried about what this time travel is doing to your brain.
Whatever.
Last week you told me that he and Kevin Bacon invented the moon,
Yeah, they did.
and now he's Reagan's body double after a murder attempt from John Hinckley Jr. trying to impress Jodie Foster.
If you go to the backside
Do you
of the
think
moon,
he'd have tried to impress her if he knew she was a lesbian?
probably.
Yeah.
But
He was a little crazy, I guess.
you seem to be doubting. But if you go to the backside of the moon, the dark side, on the back, Kevin Bacon and Nicolas Cage have their signatures written.
Mm-hmm.
And and if you play that Pink Floyd album, The Dark Side of the Moon backwards, it talks about Nicolas Cage and Kevin Bacon and their adventures on the back of the moon.
It also lines up with Wizard of Oz if you play it in reverse.
No, that's not what I heard.
Okay. This movie stars Emmett Walsh as the police officer
Yeah,
who
okay.
is still alive in 1986.
That's great news. But where do I know him from? He's a cop all the time, right? Like he always seems like
He's in
a
a lot
cop.
of Coen Brothers movies.
Combra, okay, maybe. I feel like I've seen him in that same role, the sheriff who doesn't really want to do his job. He seemed very annoyed that he had to do anything. Every time something blew up, he's like, I got to get out of bed.
That's what every small town sheriff is like.
But there were like the bowling alley blew up, then something else blew up, and it's like, I got to go deal with these two people.
It also has Lin Shaye in a small role.
Yeah, I
I think
didn't
it's
notice-
expanded in the sequel.
I didn't notice that till I was doing the credit check. Who was Lin Shaye?
Like every time.
Every time. No, I
Every
mean,
single
who?
time?
No. Who was she in this movie?
Oh, I don't remember. She like worked at the newspaper or something.
Oh, see,
Or she
that's
was in
what
it.
I meant,
I think she
yeah.
might do it in the sequel. I don't remember what she did. She's a very small role.
Okay.
And Dee Wallace is the mother. If Dee Wallace is your mother, run. Because she's the mother in The Howling. Well, I guess she doesn't have a kid. She's the wife in The Howling. She's the mother in Cujo. She's the mother in E.T. She's the mother in this. She's the mother in Rob Zombie's Halloween. She's the mother in The Hills Have Eyes.
Holy moly.
Just run away. Do not. If you are born into the Dee Wallace family, you are fucked.
Her poor kids. I hope in real life, maybe they better run.
Yeah, because she's had quite the run.
She's running so fast, it's like Liam Neeson is chasing her.
What?
Because he's always chasing somebody in his movies. That's all Liam Neeson does.
Feels like your setup and punchline skipped a step somewhere of knowledge that only you had.
Give me back my daughter.
That's Mel Gibson.
No, that was him in Taken 2,
I don't
the
think you said
zoo.
that.
Taken 2, the zoo.
Electric Boogaloo.
It's about a field trip.
I don't think he ever said, "Give me back my daughter."
I'm pretty sure he did. I've never seen it, but I'm pretty sure I saw it in a trailer.
Yeah.
No, there was a sheriff. The other cop, the cop who got eaten by the
Yes,
critters.
yeah.
Who was he? He was somebody familiar too.
Didn't know who he was. Couldn't place it.
Oh, well, he got eaten pretty quickly, and he didn't seem like he was particularly good at his job either.
No, they're in Kansas. I don't think you have to be that good at your job in Kansas.
Yeah, I guess not.
You ever heard of anything that happened in Kansas?
I think there was a massacre.
Tell me about it. Because you don't remember that. The last thing anybody remembers about Kansas is a tornado hit it in a movie in 1939.
And before that, it was brought into the Union with Nebraska, and there was that, whatever that compromise was, not the Missouri Compromise, but maybe, whatever the state, well, whatever, it's history. But I know it.
And there's intergalactic bounty hunters, Ugg and Lee.
That were the names, Ugg and Lee?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Isn't it?
That's great. I didn't know that. But they set it up as there was a rock star.
Yes.
And I swear to God, I thought he was a real rock star.
He was.
Was he?
The actor that's playing the role is a rock star.
Really?
So he's cameoing as like a version of himself, and then the bounty hunter he's playing takes that.
Yeah, right. I thought it was real when I was a kid. It's good to know that it is real.
I'm pretty sure that's right, but I have no way of looking it up. But
Me
I'm pretty
neither.
positive that's correct. That the guy
Okay.
is an actor / musician.
Well, he was funny. I appreciate they set up Dee Wallace looking at him too. I appreciate a lot of things in this movie. I don't know if you noticed. I've been saying it a lot.
There's a little more craft in here than you would get in the Ghoulies and the Spookies and things. That's why it's pretty good.
I don't remember the Ghoulies and the Spookies.
Well, you remember the poster for Ghoulies or the box cover because it's a ghoulie in a toilet. So you're excited the whole time a ghoulie's going to pop out of the toilet, and a ghoulie never pops out of the toilet.
That is the thing I hate the most about the Ghoulies. I'm not going to lie.
It is like the tire in the Twister trailer that never comes through the windshield of the car.
That one doesn't bother me so much. I don't know why, but it really doesn't.
It bothers me because I was excited to see the tire go through the windshield of the car.
I was more excited to see a ghoulie in the toilet.
Oh, I was checking my toilet for ghoulies my whole life. I checked it yesterday.
But you know what this movie gave you? A critter in the toilet.
I know it did.
Was this it's like the Ghoulies knew that was what people were looking for
Yes.
in a small monster movie.
Yeah.
And critters were already taken. It's a critter movie. That's what small monsters are. They knew that everyone wants to see a critter in a toilet.
Yes.
There's nothing funnier.
There's nothing fun here than a critter in a toilet.
But that's the old bait and switch. That's false advertising.
And it's doing something that a gremlin can't do, because if a gremlin's in the toilet, it'll just multiply.
Right. If he's in the shower, he does division.
Unless for some reason toilet water is another one of those liquids that does not affect that rule at all, like we see with beer and soda and other things that they get sprayed with constantly that never make them split into two.
It could be. Like, what if no one flushed the toilet and it's mostly urine?
That's what I was going to say. What if yes, I was going to go with poop.
No. You could, though. In that second Gremlins movie, there were a lot of different, like the Gremlins were mixing with everything. A poop gremlin would have been something.
Cross our fingers for Gremlins 3.
Yeah, because we could start with that security guard who was locked in the bathroom with the girls' gremlin.
Yes.
And when they're about to get married, and he's like, remember, because he kind of wants it at the end. He's like,
Yes.
all right, it could be worse.
Who can forget?
When they get to the part about does anyone object, the poop gremlin comes bursting out of the toilet. And you're like, I object. And then I don't know where we go from there. That's all I had. It's a pretty good scene, though, right?
I'm going to take over the screenwriting duties once again. From the mind that brought you Peggy Sue Got Married. The poop gremlin.
Look, man, I think it's solid.
Oh, it's a solid?
Well, I figure at the end, it's kind of like diarrhea-y, so it's like dripping. You know what? No, that's how he moves. His feet, it's like a slug. It just creates a diarrhea-like mucus that lets him slide across the floor.
You're sure you don't want to go home?
Dude, this is the best time ever.
Well, this movie has a scene worthy of Gremlins, the only little monster movie that does, when the two critters are talking to each other. And he goes, they have weapons. And the guy goes, so what? And then he gets blown away. And then you see the little thing pop up and says, fuck, and he runs away. It is amazing.
They are thwarted by, they turn into little balls and roll,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
And they are thwarted by sometimes just a gate being closed. But then a minute later, they can burst through a window. They can bounce up, I guess, high enough to break. Their ability to roll is based on nothing.
Yeah, I wish we could watch the sequel. I wish we could have done a double feature because I fucking love the main course.
In 2 years, I am going to watch it. This movie, I think you mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, is way better than I remember. It was always second fiddle to Critters 2.
It still is. But
I don't know because this is the only one I've seen recently, so this is fresh in my head and it's awesome.
It still is second fiddle to Critters 2. And it's, the third, I guess, fourth best little monster movie I could think of because Gremlins 2 at the top, Critters 2, Critters.
Okay.
Of this era, at least. And, I watch it and I'm just like, it's not funny enough. Like where Critters 2 is much funnier and it's a bigger scope and a lot of cooler things happen. Critters 2 carries on the story of how Lee can't choose a face. It becomes like a real emotional plot point of the movie.
Yeah, he kept changing faces. And wait, we were going back. We were talking about something before we got ourselves sidetracked. About the rock star look, and he was a real person. It's not really brought up again in the rest of the movie. They made a point of Dee Wallace.
Everybody knows who he is.
Yeah, Dee Wallace was at one point watching him on a music video, and she's like, like she's kind of like, oh, he's a handsome young lad with his music and rocking, and then it's never brought up, even when he's there hanging out. Never brought up. It's more they're like, hey, look, it's Zombie Cop. You look bad, Zombie Cop. What's going on?
I can't believe more people didn't die in this. I can't believe Emmett Walsh survived this movie. It doesn't even make sense.
Well, every time.
Isn't the clear ending for him a heroic ending?
No.
Like where he finally stands up and saves the town?
I don't know if you were paying attention, but anytime something was about to happen,
Yes, I
he
know.
usually ran to his car.
Which is why you'd think that the payoff to that would be him taking command and it costing him his life, but being a town savior and being remembered that way. It's like, no, he's not doing that.
It's not that kind of movie.
No, it's not. Now, the character returns in Critters 2, but Emmett Walsh does not return to play him.
Interesting.
So I guess it was a real method role. The critters are back and he ran to his car.
He really took it. If they were back, I'd be gone. The fact that they were, I really wanted to know more about the space hierarchy and the bounty hunters.
It's a very John Wick-like thing, the first John Wick, where you understand the template of what's going on around him, but they haven't dove that far into the lore yet. It's the same feeling watching Critters.
and they never do, and it just leaves you wanting more.
Yeah.
Because it's very intriguing.
I just can't believe that many people survived. It's complete madness.
With the critters who could paralyze you by shooting their darts, they ripped you apart with their 2,000 rows of teeth.
Yeah, you know what else there was? Hobgoblins. I can't believe I forgot hobgoblins.
Hobgoblins.
You remember Hobgoblins from Mystery Science Theater? One of my favorite episodes.
I don't remember that one. What were the hobgoblins?
There were little gremlin-like creatures that were just puppets they had to shake back and forth, and it's one of the all-time worst movies that I love.
I got to see that
I think
movie.
it'll come out next year or the year after.
Okay. Do a Critters 2 and Hobgoblins.
Double feature.
Double feature.
I mean, we got to be home by 1988.
No.
This phone booth thing might work if I find a phone booth.
Fuck you. You're on your own,
I've
buddy.
never seen a phone booth in my actual life, so I don't know that I'll find one. I think that's more of a 60s, 70s thing.
I'm going to go back to Doctor Who, so London is where you should probably go.
Well, that's a police box.
It's also a phone box, isn't it?
Yes.
There's a phone in there.
The point of it is that you can lock someone in there and then call the police. Can you believe that's a real thing? And the police will do it.
So I would shove a bad guy into the box,
The police
lock
will.
them in.
The police will shove them into the box, lock them in, and then call for backup.
Really?
Yes, that's what they were for.
I thought they were for time travel.
A beat cop walking his beat will grab you and say, you're going in the box. And then he'd call for
That
the
sounds like
paddy wagon.
hockey.
Then he'd call for the paddy wagon.
That sounds like meat delivery. And that sounds like sex.
Why does it sound like sex?
Meat delivery.
Oh, yeah, I followed you. Wish I hadn't, but I did.
You never follow me. I'm going in the wrong direction. It's probably someplace dangerous, like quicksand.
The movie's much more subdued than I think you expect it to be.
What?
But it's like a quality production.
It moves quick. There's a setup, like it's a first half hour, but then the whole second half is the critters breaking into the farm over and over again.
Just when the critters get going, it's good. And the bounty hunters blowing through town. There's stuff going on. But again, it's all almost not the point of the movie or the main plot of the movie.
What was the main plot of the movie?
The family dynamic. It's a family dramedy.
I
And then
looked
critters
at
attack.
I thought it was that the bounty hunters had to get the critters. That was the plot for me because we opened up with the bounty hunters
That's
and
true.
the critters.
We did.
So that's who I thought were my people.
It's just you can tell it was done on a budget because it's like, oh, these critters are going to take over this small town. They just take over this farmhouse. And they failed to do that, to be honest with you.
They did. Well, they were working on it. They're kind of those, you know what? Now that you've mentioned the Gremlins, they are kind of similar. They have that.
Oh,
even,
are they?
Even though they're the bad guys, these critters, they're kind of like the scrappy underdogs because they're getting shot with shotguns after saying, what is that supposed to do? They're swearing. They're having some fun out there.
Last episode, I said this. I think when people think about critters, they're not thinking about this movie because I think they're thinking about the more over the top,
Critters do.
or they're like, it's a terrible movie, and 3 and 4 are. So I don't think they're ever thinking about this one, which is a perfectly acceptable movie, well made, has some good actors in it, has a little bit of fun, done on a budget, doesn't strive too far to do a lot of things, introduces a lot of lore that it doesn't pay off, which I enjoy.
The critters are super cool too. They're a fun monster.
Yeah.
In fact, the small monster thing, that was mostly the 80s that bled into the 90s, right? There's not been any of those. We've got the big guys back with King Kong and Godzilla, but we don't have like your little gremlins, your little ghoulies, your hobgobs.
Wasn't there one? No, I don't remember.
No, because Arcadian was the last thing I can remember seeing in a theater backup time, and those were bigger monsters. They weren't small.
Yeah, I guess maybe we aren't doing Little Monsters anymore.
Yeah, that's too bad. I think it's something ripe to come back. Little Monsters with that guy who's afraid of germs.
Well, there was the Little Monsters with Lupita Nyong'o,
I saw that one.
and they were talking about the children.
Yeah, I know. You know why? Children are little petri dishes.
Well, there you go. There's plenty of Little Monster movies.
Oh, every kid's movie that's ever come out.
What are the Minions, Pete?
Minions are loyal friends.
They're little monsters.
Banana.
I've never seen one.
Banana. I've seen all of them multiple times.
I've seen trailers to Minions movies or Despicable Me movies, and I feel like I've seen all of them. I don't believe it goes any deeper than that.
No, not really. But they're fun. And they're yellow. And they like bananas because it makes sense. They're both yellow.
Well, remember, me, just like you in 1986, I don't have kids. So I wouldn't have to be subject to them and then be like, this is good compared to the other shit I have to watch.
They're also not really monsters. They're kids' monsters. I don't think those count. That's something different.
Feels like they'd kill you if they had the chance.
Yeah, but comedically, like a critter. So I guess that's...
Yeah, that's what...
I don't know. They don't have the same... There's not enough blood, I guess. If the Minions were shooting people and brains were falling out of their ears, that would be pretty cool.
Are Minions little monsters? If only I could somehow believe that I was listening to this in the future so I could put that in the question in the write-up for the episode. I wonder what they're going to write in these write-ups. I bet they're really lazy about it.
I wouldn't know. I know what I would do, and it's not being there.
If I had to guess what my brain's going to do in 2024, it's going to say something like, this appears to be from 1986. It looks like they watched Critters. That's going to be the write-up. My guess is something along those lines.
Well, it is you, and who would know you better than you unless it was you from a different time?
Yeah.
Who is... This is some Doctor Who stuff again. Is Doctor Who around yet, or are they still on a break?
1986? I think it's just going off the air.
All right, I better start figuring out what channel they play it on. Catch me some quality.
I don't know that they do play it in America.
They call it DW?
I don't think they do.
Isn't that a shoe store?
DSW
I wonder what the S stands for.
at the mall.
Dr.
Shoes.
Shoo-Hoo.
It's the Shoe Warehouse.
No, it's Dr. Shoo-Hoo.
It mostly runs in inner cities.
No, it's Dr. Shoo-Hoo. That's like Doctor Who, but
No, I'm
Dr.
dying to
Seuss.
know what the D stands for because I know it's got to be Shoe Warehouse.
I don't know.
Oh, it's Das Shoe Warehouse. It's German.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yes.
Designer Shoe Warehouse.
Oh, that might be it.
Deputy Shoe Warehouse.
There's no way to look it up. I guess we go to the mall and ask somebody.
All
You know-
right. Mall trip.
You know, Kentucky Fried Chicken's still called Kentucky Fried Chicken here.
What was it called? The Uptime.
KFC. It hasn't been Kentucky Fried Chicken for a long time.
No kidding.
Yes.
Did I tell you I ate at Chi-Chi's the other day?
No.
They're still around. Back Uptime, all they have are salsas like at the store. And
I don't
that's
even know
it.
what Chi-Chi's is.
It's a Mexican restaurant, but like a terrible chain restaurant, and it's fantastic. Chi-Chi's is how we all learned about Mexican food, I think, in Sandusky, Ohio, around this time.
Is that named after famous golfer Chichi Rodriguez?
Of course.
Nice. Glad he's got. Arnold Palmer only has a drink. This guy's got a food chain.
Most of the golfers, that's the highest title they can get. It's not winning the Masters. It's getting a food item of some kind named after them.
Tiger Woods had an animal named after him.
Yeah, he missed it. That's like for the second class, like you aren't quite good enough. And also his parents gave him that name. That's not something he earned.
Perhaps you didn't hear me, and I'll say it again. Tiger Woods had an animal named after him.
I'm Cricket.
Not the other way around. He wasn't named after an animal. He had an animal named after him.
But he didn't. I see what you did there.
Well, this was another failed attempt at doing a bit with Pete.
Look here, sir. I tried really hard. I don't know words. Tigers this and elephants that. Where's Jeffrey the giraffe these days?
Oh, yeah, Toys
Giraffe.
R Us is booming.
I bought a drum there. It was pretty cool.
See, why can you do it and I can't?
Do what?
Tell a dumb joke that I get, and I can tell a dumb joke that you don't get.
Because your jokes are very cerebral.
I don't think that's cerebral. I think it's understanding the order words were said in.
But it's also something that no, I don't like Tiger Woods.
I used to love to go walk around Toys R Us, just staring at all the stuff in the aisles. I'd always get something. My mother would get something, but like I used to like to look at everything, even things I didn't want to play with. Just so many things, it's so colorful. And now when I do it, people stare at me.
Well, yeah, because it's usually an aisle. Well, if you're talking about right now, here
Yes.
in 1980s, it's an aisle of ET stuff, and
It's all fucking ET stuff.
it's weird to be there. By the way, real quick, the part where the critter is staring at the ET doll and like trying to interact with it, and then rips its head off was funny to me.
Yes.
It was so funny. I don't know why, but gosh, I like these critters.
I mean, you'd think if a grown man walks into a Toys R Us, people would just assume he's here shopping for his kids,
Yes.
but they don't.
Well, shave the beard. Well, no, I don't know. That's a you thing. People kind of leave me alone when I'm in a store.
You have dad energy.
I
You
have
look
dad energy.
exhausted.
Is that what it takes?
Yes.
I've been really well rested the last couple of months, though.
You look exhausted. You
Still.
look like you've just been eating leftovers that before you clean plates off in the sink for at least 6 years. There's a definite vibe that you carry
Oh, boy.
where everybody knows two things about you for sure. Number one, that is a dad. Number two, that is the least sexually threatening man I've ever met in person. So that's why
That's
you're
good.
approached. That's why you're approached by children and women and men alike that all want to either invite you to a barbecue or ask you directions.
I do give people directions a lot.
They stay away from me because they're like, this guy's single and he's 45 and there's something wrong with him.
A lot of times people are giving me the directions because I'm asking how to get home.
Yes. But they don't mind when you approach them. They run away when I do because they look at me and they're like, people have had chances with this one and they haven't picked him for a reason. So I already know everything I need to know.
All right. I don't know if I like being old and weary, but I'll take it.
When you go to the supermarket, if you're looking for like, I want to buy some ham and all that's left is one little ham, are you like, definitely I'm excited about buying this ham, or you're like, why are you the one that's here? You're probably just going to go get turkey.
I don't know. I usually Kitty gives me a list and I hand it to the person at the store and they usually help me out.
Speaking of Kitty, last we discussed this on the podcast, you were looking for your hat.
Oh, shit. I was supposed to do something. I was supposed to go ask Kitty.
No,
Thank
you weren't supposed to. I was hoping you didn't.
I didn't.
I was
No
looking for an
worries.
update. Okay, good.
All right,
Good.
don't worry.
Good.
Thank you for the reminder. I
No,
gotta get
no,
on
not a
that.
reminder. No, not a reminder.
The longer we wait, the longer we dilly-dally around, the better the chance is that somebody is going to find that hat and reverse engineer all the technology in it. And we're going to have
We'll have hats everywhere.
not just hats, but like sentient ones. Again, I'm going with the Terminator future scenario here because that's what's going to happen. They kept that thumb when it went into the magma.
I'm just going to reiterate. I don't remember you having a hat on when we arrived because we arrived nude in balls of energy like in Terminator.
Yeah, with the hat on top of the ball of energy.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I feel like that you didn't have a hat.
It doesn't matter. It's my fault. I'll ask Kitty.
No.
We'll get it sorted out. We'll get it sorted out. I got it. There was something else in Critters, too. Because there were so many things going on. Oh, it was the credit check. You always leave and you don't hang around. I got my note. Let me look at my note. There was no best boy. No pure best boy. always just these hybrids. There was, I got a couple of interesting things here. All right. Well, there was a props assistant, which makes me think that it's just somebody there being like, good job. Good job. The same person was also just in charge of props for one of the second units. So I guess he was really allowed to not just say good job. It's really doling them out.
More like a props apprentice.
Yeah, I guess so. In the like the set design stuff and the painters and carpenters and such, there is something called either a lead man or a lead man, and I don't know which one it is.
You know why I leave before these credits roll, don't you? Because you reach into your coat pocket and pull out a little flip notepad like you're a police officer, and you start taking notes and saying out loud like lead man or lead man. And I'm not going to be seen to be with you because I have enough problems when I go to the Toys R Us.
Well, then you don't solve it. It's funny that you say I pull out my little flip book like a detective and I take my little notes. Because you want to know something, Brian? You missed this because you walked away, but you would have missed. There were 3 standby carpenters and no head carpenter.
Wow. That's the one that they were just standing around. Nobody was there to lead them. Not even the lead man.
It might have been a lead man. We don't
That's
know.
right.
See, this is why you take notes. These are the mysteries that need to be solved. And the only time you find them is in the credit check. And just as you know, too, at the end, when everything was over, it says critters, and the critters make their little critter noises.
Ooh.
Wasn't as good as the last one. I don't remember what the last one was, but I feel like I stayed for the credits recently to a movie we just saw. And something happened at the end. Oh, the Killbots.
Yeah.
The Killbots were like, have a nice day, robot style.
You sat around because you really wanted to tell them to chop that movie down.
They were catching everyone but the door, and I didn't want to stand in line. I figured just wait.
You know, now that you mention Killbots again, it occurs to me because I have 2 memories now. I have the memory of seeing Killbots, but I also have the memory of seeing Chopping Mall. So it's a little hard to remember everything that's in both. And you asked about the bikini team or the Miss Bikini pageant or whatever's going on.
Whatever was it, they were just bikini-clad women wandering through a mall.
And you get a lot of that in the opening of Killbots.
Yes.
It's like the first act.
Yeah.
Now, if my memory is correct of Chopping Mall, it's pared down to just one weird scene where they're riding an escalator.
That sounds even worse. You said you thought it was pared down, but you
I
didn't
think
say it was that
I
bad.
think that's the entirety of their appearance, unexplained.
Huh.
They just wanted the guy falling on the escalator staring at them, I think.
Well, I mean, that's kind of stuff that happens when you hang out
But
at
how
the
do
mall.
you cut all the stuff that the bikini team's up to, but still leave their presence in the movie in that one scene?
Well, we've discussed it. I have problems with they listened to what I said, but not what I meant.
I guess I'm glad you at least got to them before you came up with the poop monster.
I know, man. We got to go to more screenings of movies. Like,
Yeah,
if
we're
you
not
hear
gonna do
about
that.
of any of them,
No.
I wanna give my advice.
I am one of those people who wants to protect art in all of its movie forms, and I can't allow you anywhere near another one of these previews.
I think I haven't seen the new one, but I bet you it's better. Better for being shorter.
It is shorter.
All right, so we got Critters 2 coming up.
1998 or 1988.
All right, I'm ready.
I'm ready too. I wish we could watch it right now.
Me too. That's what I left. But I really enjoyed Critters. I recommend anyone going to see it. It's one of my favorite of the little monster movies, I think. As you said, number 4. I like
think
your
it's number
ranking.
4. Wow, you like rankings?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's fair. It's not a Gremlins level, but
No.
it's up there.
The top 2 are Gremlins and Gremlins 2 in whatever order you see fit. I'm never going to argue with it. And then Critters 2 is the next one, and then this is the next one.
Okay, see, I'm just going to go with monsters, and it's Gremlins and Critters are the top tier,
And then there's stuff below them. I don't really have a rank for anything below, but these two are the cream.
I mean, I do love Hobgoblins because of how bad it is.
I gotta watch that
I think
one.
it's 87, maybe.
Eventually, so it'll come out in 87. Okay.
I think so. I don't know that it ever comes out in theaters. I don't know what the production was like on Hobgoblins.
I guess in the 90s, I'll be waiting for Mystery Science Theater to
I think
come
you have to
around.
wait till like 94 or something to watch
Okay.
it. It's better to watch it that way, I think.
All right, I'll get there.
There's no Mystery Science Theater yet. We could invent that.
Yeah, we can't mess with time, though, dude.
We wrote Peggy Sue Got Married for our own
Yeah, but
personal gain.
That was already done, because
And
back where we
canonically-
came from,
Canonically, we're paid over $30 million for it.
it was already written, so clearly that's not us messing with time.
So yeah, next thing I think we'll be up to is we're going to take a couple months off, I guess. Nothing seems to be on the horizon.
I am going to go figure out that whole hat situation.
No.
Kitty is going to set us straight. And you know what? I'll got to be really careful not to somehow go back in time to our future. I lost my train of thought.
Not to go back in time to our future.
I don't.
You think I guess we accidentally stumbled back here. I guess you could at any
I
moment
don't know
accidentally stumble
why.
forward.
But as I was talking, I was like, sensed danger from Kitty. I don't know why, but I didn't. I don't know what that feeling is.
Yeah, you
She
should
knows
probably-
things.
You should probably just avoid. She doesn't know things. She's 3.
She knows secret information that I need. I
She
need
doesn't- I
this.
promise you she doesn't.
I don't know why she's so smart, but she is.
At
And
3?
Probably. She knows stuff. She knows where everything is. She's always known where all my stuff is. I also think I lost my wallet.
Again, we showed up here naked. Nothing.
I keep my wallet in my prison purse.
Oh, I wonder if that made the trip or if it's just still in there.
I haven't checked. I hope I didn't flush it down the toilet. Well, at least I gave that poop gremlin some money.
I mean, your 2024 wallet had nothing of use for you here because you can't use that ID, you can't use that credit card, you can't use that cash because it hasn't even been printed yet.
Buddy, I had a Toys R Us gift card in that wallet.
Wow, how old was that?
Pretty goddamn old.
They
And
closed that Toys R Us near us 15 years ago.
it still had money on it. That's all I'm saying. I could have used that back here. I could have bought a Lego set.
You know what's messed up? I had a Baskin Robbins card, but because of the time travel, it just reset itself.
Really?
Now I got to buy all those Baskin Robbins again.
That doesn't sound like a punishment. That's like if you were Sisyphus and your punishment was, hey, you got to eat ice cream all day.
I may have gotten $30 million to write a very famous screenplay, but I want my free Baskin Robbins when I already ate 6 of them.
That's all? Usually you have to eat like 13 or 12 and you get the 13th free.
Not in 1986.
Like a
People didn't
baker's
live
ice
that
cream.
long. People didn't live that long in 86. You know that.
I haven't. We got to go to a Baskin Robbins. I keep passing them by, but I never go in.
Do you think that
No.
Ben and Jerry's is open yet down the street from where you used to live before they moved it, when we used to be able to just walk there after school?
Yes, but it was called Tom and Jerry's back then, and they were like Popeyes. They were trying to. It was
Back
their
now?
Back now, because
I wonder when they opened that. They closed it down around 2000.
this was all part of the cartoon. The cartoon craze tried to capitalize on every cartoon there was. That's why I have Popeye's chicken and Tom and Jerry's ice cream.
Here's another question I have about that Ben and Jerry's shop
Flintstones
that we
vitamins.
used to go to. How much do you think it cost them to refrigerate that place? Because it was freezing when you'd walk in there.
I don't know. It was a small space
It was a small space. It was like a house. It was like a living room.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
filled with coolers.
It's
I
a
guess
Taylor
freezers.
now or something.
I don't know. I thought it was nothing now.
There's something there.
Okay.
Legitimately, Ben and Jerry's used to have a shop just sitting at the end of his road, and it was a worst location you could imagine for anything. Except it was great for us because we just ride our bikes up there, and then they just moved it to the factory outlet mall in Niagara Falls,
Which is exciting because it's a mall, but farther away, so less exciting.
way farther away. I think I only went there once the entire time that they moved it. I think it's gone from there now. You said too, right?
Yep, I believe so.
That's too bad.
Hanging out in malls every time.
I haven't been this sad since they took the Swiss chalets away.
We don't talk about those days. It takes Brian to his sad space
I've been working on getting into Canada.
to go eat at Swiss Chalet.
I never got an enhanced license.
But
So I just skipped that, and I was like, I'll just get a Nexus card. But that apparently takes a long time.
when do they come here? Because
Who?
Swiss Chalet. Because you could go look for them.
Oh, I could probably get it now.
Yeah.
Why
How
haven't
have
I
you
thought
not?
about any of this?
I was just going to say, man, I've been going to malls left and right. I've been eating Doritos. I've been doing everything you need to be doing.
I've
And you're
basically
here.
just been doing the cocaine
Oh, well, that'll get you.
and going to Toys R Us, sometimes at the same time.
Yeah.
Most of the time at the same time. Every time at the same time, if I'm being honest.
Good for you.
The Nintendo's out. We could play some Nintendo.
Is it?
Do you want to do some cocaine and play Nintendo?
Yeah, that sounds like a good
That
afternoon.
sounds like a pretty good. Well, we have 2 months until I think the next thing we're going to do.
All right. Well, I got my task.
Well,
I'll do the cocaine after.
I mean, how are you even going to find her without her parents, though? That doesn't make any sense.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. Don't worry. I got 2 months.
You're going to stake it out in the van and
Probably. That's usually what I
see
do.
when you can get her alone.
Got to figure out her schedule. Got to figure out when her parents drop her off. How, does she take a bus to school?
She's
How
not in
old is
school.
she?
She's 3.
Where does she live? What is her job?
Yeah.
Where?
Where are your kids?
I think. Yeah, that's a good question. I hope she's taking care. These are all questions I can ask Kitty, Brian.
Well, the good news is it is 1986 and parenting is much more laxed. We are from, as everyone our age knows, the lax generation of parenting.
Yeah. So see, it should be fine.
She's probably just out there walking the streets right now.
I got to figure out where her house is. All
And
right.
she has 2 older brothers?
Nope, she's the middle child.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Sure does. Can't trust those middle children.
She has 1 older brother, but he's not going to be a problem.
No. No, he won't be a problem at all. So I'm not worried. It's going to work out. It'll be fine.
Next time we talk to you, unless this phone booth thing works, or Pete gets arrested for stalking a minor. Speaking of stalking minors, we're going to do a watch along to a movie about a pedophile stalking a minor.
We're going to put that motherfucker on blast.
It's called The Great Muppet Caper.
Sweet.
No, is that out by now? That's out by now. 85, I think.
I don't know.
83, somewhere in there.
My memory of the Muppets is hazy.
Is it because you're always high when you watch them?
Could be. All the time when I was a little kid, I'd be like, come on, Pete, get high before we watch the Muppets, my mom would say to me.
Come on, Pete, is why Jeffrey Jones got into so much trouble. All right, we're going to see you later. We're going to take this equipment, put it in the van, and we're going to drive to the Grandview Theater and watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I know it's not a horror movie, and I don't care. See you next time.